Welcome back. Sure, we intrigued you right before the break when Lois mentioned we're going to be talking about sex and samosas. Well, that is the name of a wonderful book. We are joined by the author, Jasmine Aziz. Jasmine, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
And let's set this up and sort of shock our viewers into listening to this particular segment, because let's start off back to when you started selling vibrators.
Okay.
I know it's kind of a strange way to start the topic, really, but this is how this book all came to be. So how did that happen?
Well, I was invited to an adult home party presentation that was selling vibrators, and I didn't know anybody at the party, so I was like completely not related to anyone. We were late, so you can imagine I was a little bit nervous, and we showed up, and the woman that was doing the party, the consultant, was a really stiff, not very funny, really unkind woman. Just to be, I'm trying to be kind. Anyway, so she was doing her thing, and the room was really silent. There were like 15 women in their mid-40s, mid-50s. Nobody's laughing. Everyone's having a very bad time. She brings out the Benoit balls.
Okay.
And I make a joke. I say, "Excuse me, Shelley, but if you put those inside and you were playing with your husband, and it would be like a pinball game, etc., blah, blah, blah." And of course, everybody laughed, and that got everyone to relax a little bit.
Right.
She told me to shut up. And yeah, so I did, and then I made just one more comment to make everyone relax a little bit. And long story short, after everybody was done, I'm sitting with my girlfriend. I'm like, "Oh my God, this woman is just horrible. I can't stand her." And 5 women I've never met before came up and asked me personal questions, including a 50-year-old woman who said, "I have to ask you something because my husband has this thing about feet. Is that weird?" And I said, "No, not really." And she said, "Well, what should I do?" I said, "Well, if I was you, I would go get some of this. First, get a pedicure. 'Cause that's always fun."
Very good.
Right?
Yeah.
And at least you get a pedicure, and then get some of this lubricant and give him a foot job. And she's like, "What's a foot job?" And I said, "Well, blah, blah, blah." And she runs upstairs and goes and buys the stuff. So that's when my girlfriend told me, "You should be selling this stuff." And I said, no, I don't want to sell this. The next day, I'm in my store, and this friend of mine who's extremely promiscuous, she's a doll, very sweet woman, slept with everyone except the people out in this studio. She's a lovely person,
I'm
though.
sure she loves hearing this right now. We don't know her.
But she's a lovely person.
Right.
I'm telling her I went to the sex party, and they didn't even have the following. Something that would make your butt clench even tighter, Derek, if you know what I'm saying, than the last
hot in
segment.
here, is it?
And she said, "Oh, what's that?" And that's when I realized the light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, oh, if somebody that's pretty much tried everything has never tried this, then maybe this is my calling.
Well, this is interesting because your book is called Sex and Samosas, and you're writing about this woman, Lena, who comes from a dual background.
Right.
You know, she's Southeast Asian, but she's also Canadian.
Correct.
And for yourself, I guess you can relate to that on many levels. For a lot of people who grow up with 2 different cultures, Canadian and, I'm Korean, or Canadian and Indian, or something like that, there's always this conflict when it comes to normal, everyday situations. But when it comes to sex, there must have been an even bigger conflict.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that?
Well, I grew up with that. That's where I grew up. I was born in Ottawa, so I've got all North American friends, and I went to high school with my North American friends, but I'd go home, and then, I would, not from my parents, but from my parents' family, I would hear this: "You've got to get married, just get married. Nobody cares, if you're happy." And I couldn't date because that would make me like my promiscuous friend. Just dating was out. So I was constantly fighting with that part of my brain that cultural said, you've got to get married, your husband's all that matters, and the other half of my brain's like, no, go out. Taste all the fruit, see what you like, right? And I had to, until I could find balance between those two, and that's actually how I struggled with it. But it's really about also trying to find balance even from what your parents think you should be doing.
Right.
Right?
So I would imagine then writing this book was probably therapeutic for you.
It was
right? You got to
extremely
vent a lot of how you were feeling. How did your family react to the book?
My immediate family has been the best blessing ever. My mother is the love of my life, and she is extremely supportive. And she has been great. My sister is incredible. My brother-in-law, amazing. It's the other people outside of my family.
So the aunts, the uncles, the
they don't
grandparents.
understand. And if I'm not married, it doesn't really matter now because I'm the scandalous one who wrote the sex book. So who cares, right?
Yeah, you're done.
It's over.
Tell us what the book's about. The main character's name is Lena.
Her name is Lena. She's married, and she's never had an orgasm like 60% of the female population. There's only so much you can do, right, Derek?
Absolutely. If my girlfriend's watching, can we talk when I get home?
So anyway, she goes to this party. She's never had an orgasm, and she gets completely drunk, buys a whole bunch of stuff, and every chapter after that is a misadventure with all of the things that she buys. It's a comedy until she realizes her purpose in life, which is finding balance, obviously. And of course, there's some really good sex in it.
And I love that because really you're taking away the taboo that and the stigma that surrounds topics like these because people are so afraid to talk about it. And so you make it really approachable. This is something that you want to turn into a movie.
That's all I want. I see it, my big fat Greek wedding with vibrators. Because you see it. It's cultural and it has all the angles, and I could bring Bollywood and Hollywood together. There's a character in there that's exactly like Salman Khan. I made it. Dinesh is exactly him. So I was thinking about it when I was typing it. And I was like, so yeah.
Now, as I understand it too, you're looking at writing, penning another book as well.
I'm doing that right now.
Is it along the same lines?
The second one what I see is a 3 series books because trilogies are so hot.
Yeah.
Is actually my memoirs called "Bring Your Own Batteries."
Okay.
Right. And it's the memoirs of a retired vibrator seller. So it's a series of short stories that sort of outline all of my different parties, and at the same time, it arcs out my relationship, the very bad relationship I was in with myself and my partner at the time that inspired that.
I can sort of imagine, Jasmine, how your female friends and family have reacted to the book. What about male friends and family members?
Actually, I think the only thing that really surprised me is how many men are really loving this book. It has a slightly voyeuristic quality to it because you're in her head all the time. But I'm getting a lot more emails from men.
Interesting.
And it's wonderful.
I think you're answering a lot of questions that men have. That's great.
Let's start this thing again.
How do people get a copy of your book?
They can buy Kindle, Kobo. It's online, Amazon.ca.com, Prospero, Perfect Books, Aziz and Company on Bank Street. Okay. And Wicked Wanda and Venus Envy have it.
Fantastic. Awesome. Congratulations,
Jasmine.
Thank
you. Thanks.
You're a lot of fun, too. A lot of humor in this book, as she said as well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Well, we're going to have a great show coming up tomorrow. I think we're working out again.
We are. We've got the owner of Ottawa Kettlebells coming on the show. Now, I've been working with kettlebells with my personal trainer, George. They are killer. That's all I can say.
I don't really know what a kettlebell is, so we'll find out. Maybe if you have questions, you will too. We're also going to have the Cultural Kitchen on the program as well.
And we're going to be talking photography because a lot of people out there, they don't know how to take a proper photograph. Well, perhaps we can give you some great tips for that. We've got all that and more. It's Bow Tie Tuesday, my friends. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.